Now it's my pleasure to introduce our panelists for today's broadcast. First, I would like to introduce Kip Thompson, President of Global Solutions at T3 Advisors. Kip has over 30 years of global executive leadership and corporate real estate experience and focuses on enabling his clients to strategically and cost-effectively create extraordinary value by selecting globally competitive locations and driving optimized solutions. We are also joined today by David Houston, Director of Channels and Business Development at Radius. David helps lead Radius's network of strategic and alliance partners in the U.S. and abroad. Prior to joining Radius, David helped lead the UK government's foreign direct investment activities for a high-growth technology business in the U.S. with UK Trade and Investment. David has worked with hundreds of U.S. technology companies to advise on international expansion strategy. Over to you, Dave.
Thanks, Ed, and good afternoon, everyone. So location is an incredibly important and often overlooked aspect of any international expansion strategy, and so I'm glad we're able to share these insights with you today, especially from someone as experienced as Kip from our partners at T3 Advisors. So there are a number of very logical reasons for expanding your business globally. Maybe you see strong potential growth in international markets. Maybe your business has exhausted all of the opportunity in the domestic market, or growth has maybe slowed at home. And often what we see at Radius as the driver is that a key customer may now require you to support their business globally. And whatever your reason, your next step is to start thinking about where to go. So as Ed mentioned before, joining Radius, I spent a number of years in economic development for the UK government. And in that role, I spent a great deal of my time thinking about what aspects of a location make it an attractive one for businesses looking to expand overseas. Things like access to talent, ease of doing business, connectivity both in terms of broadband and in terms of transportation connections, as well as things like clusters. So for example, are other companies like yours also active in a location, like banking in New York or software in Silicon Valley? These were all important factors, and we had a massive amount of data to support companies who were assessing these various factors. The reality, however, and what I encountered time and time again with hundreds of businesses, is that they were taking a very reactive approach rather than a strategic one, and they were thinking very much in the short term rather than the longer term when choosing a location to expand. If their customer was in the West End of London, then they too should be in the West End of London. Or if they were sending an expat who had children attending a school in Reading, then they should find an office near to the school. Or maybe a partner company of theirs had a few empty desks at their office in Ireland, so they would choose to set up there. None of these scenarios allowed the company to think about the type of talent they're looking to attract down the line, or the real needs of businesses beyond the initial few months. So Kip is going to take you through what a strategic decision-making process looks like, and what are some locations that are hot in different regions of the world if you're assessing areas for your business to expand. And I'm going to share with you some of the experience we've had at Radius in working with our clients to help you sift through 195 countries to understand which location may be right for your business. We've broken these down into 8 areas of consideration that may be helpful for you. So first, regional beachheads. This may sound fairly obvious, but to start, it may be easiest to narrow your target down to a world region. Asia, for example, is home to high-growth companies, high-growth economies with large populations. Europe offers a combination of wealthy consumers and highly developed institutions. Latin America is easily accessible to North American companies, especially those prepared to operate in a Spanish-speaking environment. If you have a region in mind, then you can then find an obvious candidate or two that's preferred by multinational companies when expanding there. So again, in Asia, hubs like Hong Kong and Singapore offer a good combination of a business-friendly environment, but also a wealth of English speakers. U.S. firms have tended to base their European operations in the UK, and more recently Ireland, to take advantage of the shorter distance, but also, again, English-speaking populations. And Mexico is a popular location as a base for companies' Latin American operations, partly because of its proximity to the U.S. and also a cultural affinity with the rest of North America. If your strategy depends more on picking individual national markets, then targeting a region, bigger is generally better, right? If you're going to invest resources in establishing yourself in a new jurisdiction, you're going to want plenty of room to grow. And so for reference on this slide, you can see the IMF ranking of the world's 10 largest economies in 2013. That said, obviously size isn't everything, so our U.S. clients, by definition, have no choice but to move to a smaller market. Then you would think, well, Russia's economy is big, but that needs to be balanced against tough Western sanctions, which will hamper future growth. Italy's economy, for example, is just barely growing, and it's obviously going to then present challenges for foreign companies who are looking to develop their presence there. I think strong growth is another important consideration. Some of the fastest growing economies in 2014 include Mongolia, Sierra Leone, Turkmenistan, Bhutan, Libya, and even Iraq. But as you may guess, Mongolia and Sierra Leone are not on our clients' most popular destinations list. So you may want to look for economies that have that attractive combination of both size and growth. So for example, PwC estimates that these 6 large economies will exceed the 3.3% global GDP growth in 2015, places like China, India, Indonesia, South Korea, Turkey, and Mexico.